What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, and I'm back at y'all with another one. Oh, man. The disdain and the dislike and the hate for Devin the Dream Haney, it is so bizarre that it's laughable. It's actually laughable at this point, right? All of the supporters, and I feel bad for what is the best welterweight in the world, the WBO undefeated champion, Brian Norman Jr., right? Brian Norman is 28 wins, no losses, no draws, 22 wins by way of knockout. I feel bad for Brian Norman, who's 24 years of age. Brian Norman is receiving support by default because people just hate and don't like Devin Haney, right? So these people are claiming to be supporters now of Brian Norman Jr. when truly and really what they are is just detractors of Devin Haney. The other day, before we get into this, I believe it was yesterday, Friday, I'm listening to Champside, shouts out to Champside, and he had a caller call in, and the caller said, the first thing he said out his mouth was, I can't stand Devin Haney, the undefeated two-division champion, former undisputed lightweight, former WBC junior welterweight, superstar boxer who is 32 wins, no loss, no draw, 15 wins by way of knockout. First thing out his mouth as he made the phone call, I can't stand Devin Haney. That's the first thing he said out his mouth. Then he says, Champside says, so you rooting for anybody who's fighting Devin Haney? And he said, yeah. And so Champside asks him, so if Devin Haney wins, are you going to call back in? He said, yeah, I don't got a dog in the race. So Champside says, you do have a dog in the race. You rooting for the man that's standing across from Devin Haney. The opposite of losing is winning. The opposite of winning is losing, right? You want to see him lose. This dude went on to just try to debate, no, I ain't got a dog in the race. If Devin Haney wins, just kudos to him. Now fast forward, you got the Gervonta Tank Davis. Now, remember, Oscar De La Hoya just put up a post yesterday talking about we can't unsee the 3 knockdowns last April that Ryan Garcia had over Devin Haney. You can't unsee it. You can't dispute what happened. After the fight got overturned and Ryan Garcia got suspended for testing positive for performance-enhancing drugs. Right? Gervonta Tank Davis immediately started celebrating and telling the world how Vada and Victor Conte set up Ryan Garcia. But he was the first one out his own mouth, in his team mouth, saying Ryan Garcia is on performance enhancers. We know it. That's why we putting strict stipulations on him with a catch weight and a rehydration clause. Everything that Tank Davis said going into his fight with Ryan did. He said, I got to put a rehydration clause because he's going to come in overweight and big. Well, against Devin Haney, he came in 3.5 pounds overweight. And rehydrated to we don't even know what. And also tested positive for a banned substance. Tank Davis celebrated that. But once it got overturned, he was irate. Irate because they set Ryan Garcia up. Victor Conte, the late Victor Conte, and Vada. And the New York State Boxing Athletic Commission set up Ryan Garcia, although he said out his own mouth that Ryan Garcia was on performance enhancers. Not only did he say it, but Coach Calvin said you could look at Ryan Garcia's body transformation. You can see he was on performance enhancers. This was Coach Calvin said. Coach Calvin said that out of his own mouth. Go look at the video. Now, his other coach, Kenny, is claiming that Devin Haney fights like Jin Sasaki. What? Jin Sasaki is the man that Brian Norman knocked his memory loose. Not his marbles, but knocked his complete memory loose, right? He brutally knocked out Jin Sasaki, right? Devastating fashion, right? In Japan. And that's one of his highlights of his career. Now, nobody even knew who not many people, I'm not saying nobody, not many people knew who Jin Sasaki was. Now, Coach Kenny is saying that Devin Haney, after studying, he's studying. And he's saying he got Brian Norman knocking out Devin Haney in 7 to 8 rounds. And he's saying that Devin Haney fights like Jin Sasaki. They are praying Devin Haney lose so bad, it's not even funny. It is funny. It's disturbing, actually. If you feel like Brian Norman to win, I ain't got no problem with that. If you feel like Brian Norman's the better fighter, I ain't got no problem with that. If you feel like Devin Haney gonna win, I ain't got no problem with that. You feel like Devin Haney is the better fighter, I ain't got no problem with that. But to make up stuff that Devin Haney fights like Jin Sasaki, come on, man. Come on, man. They hoping and praying. Here's what's ironic about it. Tank sparred Brian Norman, right? And we know that Brian Norman got the best of Gervonta Tank Davis in those sparring sessions. Tank Davis wouldn't dare in his career, neither would Kenny or Calvin, put Tank Davis in the ring with Brian Norman Jr. Never. They would not even come close to uttering the words Brian Norman Jr. in a real fight. Ever. Ever. Devin Haney's daring to be great. Fighting the best welterweight in the world. They won't even fight the second or third best guy in their own division. They ain't want no parts of Regis Prograis who Devin Haney beat. They ain't want no parts of Teofimo Lopez who Devin Haney pursued aggressively for years. They ain't want no part of Vasil Lomachenko who Devin Haney pursued for years and then fought and beat him. Yet they're praying that Devin Haney loses to Brian Norman Jr. Why? Why? It's diabolical, people. It's diabolical. But next Saturday, November 22nd, in Saudi Arabia, Devin Haney versus Brian Norman Jr. Can't wait. I can't wait. It's the best fight in the card, in my opinion. It's one of the biggest fights of the year, in my opinion. You got a black father in Brian Norman Sr., who was a former fighter, who has brought his son to this point and is a role model and a pillar in his life that's frowned upon. You got Bill Haney, who's doing the same thing, wasn't a fighter, but a pillar in his son's life and brought him his son to where he is. That's frowned upon. Hey, bro, it's frowned upon. They don't want to see these two black fathers with these two black sons that's successful, undefeated world champions at this point in their career. It's frowned upon, man. And the people that's hating on them, right? Because these are people that weren't supporters of, a matter of fact, Kenny said that Jin Sasaki could possibly beat Brian Norman Jr. Come on, man. You can't make this stuff up, man. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. It's your boy Blue signing off. I'm gone. Peace.